Have you ever wondered what could cause a community to turn on each other in a frenzy of fear and suspicion? Welcome to the world of the Salem Witch Trials. Our tale begins in the small, isolated town of Salem, Massachusetts in the late 17th century. It was a time of deep-seated religious beliefs, social paranoia, and a frantic fear of the unknown. In the heart of this era, an unimaginable event unfolded. A wave of hysteria washed over the town in the year 1692, a hysteria that would soon lead to the infamous Salem Witch Trials. This was a time when the line between reality and illusion blurred, a time when the whisper of a rumor could sentence someone to death. What began as an innocent game of fortune-telling by a group of young girls spiraled into a whirlwind of accusations, trials, and executions. The fear of witchcraft, the devil's work, gripped the town. It was a fear so potent that it led to the unfathomable. Neighbors accusing neighbors, children accusing parents, and friends accusing friends. In the span of just 1 year, over 200 men, women, and children were accused of practicing witchcraft, a crime punishable by death during that period. Of those accused, 20 were found guilty and executed, their lives tragically cut short by society consumed by fear and superstition. And so the Salem Witch Trials stand as a stark reminder of the power of fear and the devastating effects of mass hysteria. They serve as a mirror, reflecting the darkest corners of human nature where fear can override reason and suspicion can shatter communities. As we delve deeper into this dark chapter of American history, we will explore the causes of this mass hysteria, the lives it claimed, and the lessons we can learn from this tragic event. Today we delve into this dark chapter of American history, where over 200 people were accused of witchcraft and 20 were executed. To better understand the trials, we turn to our expert historian. In the late 17th century, a wave of fear and suspicion swept through the small town of Salem in colonial Massachusetts. But what sparked this deadly hysteria? To answer this question, we need to delve deep into the societal, religious, and political context of the time. Our historian expert explains, the Salem Witch Trials were not an isolated incident. They were the result of a perfect storm of factors that created an environment ripe for mass hysteria. The colonists were living in a time of political instability, religious intolerance, and extreme social pressures. Political instability, you might ask? Yes, indeed. The colonists were living under a new charter and were fearful of losing their religious and political freedoms. This fear, combined with existing frictions within the community, created a volatile atmosphere. Now, let's talk about religious intolerance. The Puritans, who made up most of Salem's population, were known for their strict religious beliefs and practices. They believed in the literal existence of the devil and saw the world as a battleground between good and evil. Any deviation from their strict moral code could be seen as a sign of witchcraft. Then there were the social pressures. Salem was a frontier town constantly under threat from Native American tribes. The colonists lived in fear of attacks and had to deal with the pressures of living in a new and unfamiliar environment. This heightened sense of fear and insecurity could have easily led to suspicions and accusations of witchcraft. So when young girls in Salem started showing strange and unexplained symptoms, it was all too easy for the townsfolk to believe that witchcraft was to blame. Fear took over, and the witch trials began. But what caused this mass hysteria to spiral out of control? The answer lies in the explosive combination of fear, suspicion, and a community willing to believe the worst about their neighbors. From crop failures to political rivalries, let's unravel the factors that triggered the Salem Witch Trials. The year was 1692, a time of hardship and uncertainty. The small, isolated community of Salem Village was on edge. The recent war with neighboring indigenous tribes had left the villagers living in fear. Their paranoia was further amplified by the stark wilderness that surrounded them, a constant reminder of their vulnerability. Add to this, a series of crop failures that left the people in a state of economic turmoil. This was a society steeped in religion, where the fear of the unknown was often attributed to the work of the devil. The inability to explain their misfortunes led to a heightened sense of religious paranoia. In addition, the community was riddled with internal strife. There were deep-seated rivalries and disagreements over property lines, grazing rights, and church privileges. This social discord created a breeding ground for suspicion and resentment. Then there was the role of the Puritan belief system. Puritans believed in the literal existence of witches and their power to cause harm. Their strict moral code and the fear of divine punishment made them susceptible to the witchcraft hysteria. And let's not forget the role of the children. The initial accusations were made by a group of young girls. Their strange and unexplainable symptoms sparked the witch hunt. This can be seen as a reflection of the power dynamics of the time, where even the voices of children could turn the tide of society when they echoed the fears and beliefs of the adults. So, there you have it. A potent mix of religious paranoia, societal tensions, economic hardships, and power dynamics set the stage for the mass hysteria that led to the Salem Witch Trials. It was a time when fear overpowered reason, leading to one of the darkest chapters in American history. But what lessons can we learn from this dark period in history? The Salem Witch Trials serve as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and blind belief. Now let's delve deeper into the lessons learned from the trials and their relevance today. The trials, shrouded in fear and superstition, reveal the harsh consequences of hysteria and the swift spread of misinformation. As accusations flew back in 1692, the line between fact and fiction blurred, causing the community to spiral into chaos. This is a lesson that remains pertinent today, in an era where information can spread globally at the click of a button. The trials also highlight the destructive power of groupthink and conformity. The people of Salem, in their fear, readily accepted the accusations of witchcraft without demanding solid evidence. This blind acceptance led to a wave of hysteria that washed over the entire community. It serves as a warning to us now, reminding us of the importance of critical thinking and the courage to question the status quo. The trials were not just about witchcraft, they were also about power and control. Those in authority used the trials to suppress dissent and maintain control, a tactic we see echoed in many parts of the world even today. The Salem Witch Trials teach us to be vigilant against the misuse of power and to stand up for justice, even when it goes against the tide. Furthermore, the trials underscore the importance of empathy and understanding. In the face of fear and uncertainty, the people of Salem turned against each other. It was a lack of empathy, a failure to understand and respect the differences among them that fueled the flames of the trials. This is a timeless lesson, reminding us to cultivate empathy and understanding in our own lives. As we reflect on the events of 1692, we remember the lives lost and the lessons learned. So let's take these lessons to heart. To resist the lure of hysteria, to question the narrative, to challenge misuse of power, and above all, to foster empathy and understanding, for it is through learning from our past that we can better navigate our future. In the face of mass hysteria, fear, and superstition, humanity's quest for justice prevailed. As we conclude our journey into the heart of 1692 Salem, we find ourselves staring into the mirror of history, reflecting upon our own times. The Salem Witch Trials were not an isolated event. They were the manifestation of a society fraught with fear and misunderstanding. Over 200 individuals were accused, their lives upended by mere whispers of witchcraft. 20 souls were lost, sentenced to death based on unfounded allegations and fear-mongering. Yet it was not only witchcraft that this community feared. Crop failures, political rivalities, societal tensions, these too played their part in this tragic saga. As we look back, we realize that the trials were a symptom of larger societal issues, a stark reminder of how fear and uncertainty can warp judgment and fracture communities. But from this dark chapter in history, we also learn valuable lessons. The trials serve as a stark reminder of the importance of critical thinking, of challenging the status quo, of standing against injustice, even when it's unpopular to do so. They remind us to question, to probe, to seek the truth rather than accept narratives at face value. As we stand in the present, the echoes of Salem's past still reverberate, reminding us to remain vigilant, to question, to seek justice. The trials serve as a constant reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and blind belief, urging us to stand firm against the tides of mass hysteria and fear. So as we close this chapter on the Salem Witch Trials, let's remember not only the lives lost and the injustices suffered, but the lessons learned. Let's carry these lessons forward, applying them to our own lives, to our own societies. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of the Salem Witch Trials. Until next time, stay curious and question the narrative.